Welcome back to Careful Boys, everybody. We got with us today the cash flow doctor, aka the sound bath expert, Eric.
Oh, you gotta bring some next time.
Is that a new title, or what is that? Sound bath expert?
Yeah, so like by day I'm a financial professional. By night I'm like a sound bath plant medicine person.
I like how you balance.
That's very Bruce Wayne of you.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
You use your left brain in the morning and the right brain at night.
That's it. That's it. The duality of life, my friends. The duality of life.
Dude, sick.
And also an interpretive dance connoisseur as well. Right?
Oh yes, yeah.
Connoisseur.
I'm a connoisseur.
Put on his reflective shades. He goes crazy.
That's it.
That's like those things go on.
That's it. That's it.
Accounting is such, like, there's a whole stereotype behind accountants, right? And then it's just straight up numbers. They're super logical, no emotions, whatever. And then like here comes Eric. You wouldn't imagine that this dude's an accountant. You would maybe think like he's a rave promoter or something like that, right?
The way he looks,
Like he works at EDC and he's gonna try to get us to go there. Over, you know, hey, did you buy your tickets yet? You know, like
Flyers.
I got VIP tickets.
VIP fucking seats for you, bro. And then like, wait, what do you really do? Oh, I do accounting. But he does accounting for like NFTs and crypto
Right.
and all this cool shit, yeah.
And he was in very early. Got a ton of knowledge. He's like a resident guru of everything crypto and NFT. My question is, what happened to Terra, and why didn't you save us from it?
Yeah. What the hell,
Why
man?
did you? You're too busy
lost everything.
sound bathing. You didn't warn us.
It happened over the weekend too, so I guarantee you he was fucking sound bathing all of his friends.
I'm just sharing all the good vibes to try to save everybody.
Nothing can bring this down.
So we're talking about the big gorilla in the room, right? Terra Luna. So effectively, for those of you who may not be aware, but I bet everybody's aware of it, there's an immense amount of capital destruction that happened over the course of 72 hours.
It was 40 billion.
$40 billion,
$40 billion?
effectively being destroyed from the marketplace.
And ironically, there's 40 billion going to Ukraine too.
You putting your
Is it
tinfoil
that?
very tinfoil of
Does that
you.
mean that it's being what did you say? It's destroyed from the marketplace?
So they call this an immense capital destruction event, right? So there's an immense amount of capital that effectively just got destroyed. And you know, money always transfers from one place to another. So people were making money on shorts, basically betting that the token would go down. So it went somewhere, but there's an immense amount of wealth that was just being transferred or being destroyed at this point in time.
I heard those suckers only made 3 billion. So I'm like, you destroyed 40 billion so you can make 3 billion, you fucking suck-offs?
It's about sending a message.
I hate you.
How do I transfer my poverty now?
Yeah. So like
My poorness.
just for some additional context, right? This token or this company or the Terra Luna token was built by a guy named Kwan. And so as this is all started rolling out, Kwan is like this charismatic individual, which is kind of like, you know, you see this in the crypto space, a charismatic individual that had this underlying technology, and a lot of us, we looked at it and said, hey, this looks really cool.
It looked like the future.
It looked like the future. So there's like two pieces to it, right? They had this stable coin, and then they had this governance token. And so the whole idea is when you're looking at a stable coin, many of us use stable coins because it has a stable price. In general, cryptocurrency is very volatile. It goes up and down. So a fundamental part of crypto is having a stablecoin component that a lot of DeFi or decentralized finance operates off of. So the most popular ones right now are like things like USDC, which is from the Coinbase, USDT, which is from Tether, and then we also had the one from Terra Luna.
Didn't a bunch of them get depegged or something?
A lot of them. So what ended up happening was what made Terra Luna a little bit unique is they had what they call an algorithmic stablecoin. So most stablecoins are pegged or they're linked to an underlying asset. So for example, USDC is tied to either current like other Bitcoin or to other assets. So for dollar, you could always redeem it and then get that stablecoin. And that's what causes that stability in price.
When they have it, when they base it off something, they usually have reserves of that.
That's the nature of it, right? And so
Like
this
USTD, like Tether, is it's like a South American currency or something, or I don't know. They're a bank out in like I forgot the Caribbean or some shit like that.
Yeah, and they're probably based in the Caymans.
Yeah.
So the Tether is a little bit of an interesting one because Tether, they can artificially print tokens. So there's always a conspiracy theory happening with Tether. And Tether also does not disclose where the reserves are held. So we don't know if it's dollar for dollar. And also part of it is in corporate assets, which are liquid. So they could sell, go in and out.
When you're saying Tether, is that USDT or UST?
USDT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the big like elephant in the room. So like Luna and Terra, they had an algorithmic one. So instead of it being tied to an underlying asset that isn't tied to the company, the way that it worked is the governance token was tied to the cryptocurrency. And that works really well when the governance token is worth a lot, right? Because people have faith and trust that the currency here, the stable coin is going to be good to go. So what ended up happening was for the last couple of months, the Terra Luna ecosystem was tied to this other protocol called Anchor. And if you know, Anchor is this protocol where you could put money in, it's like you're putting money in the bank, and the bank is going to pay you 20%. And in general terms, in the DeFi world, 20% doesn't sound like a lot. Like there was a time back in the day, like a couple months ago, where you'd put things in like Time Wonderland or Fortress and all these things and have like thousands or hundreds of thousands of interest.
Yeah. An EDC, you put it in
Nocturnal.
You put it in the KFC.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, because 20 is a lot for the regular world. For the regular world,
It's insane.
And then so what we're starting to see and what we're starting to learn as things are being unpeeled from this is the way the Anchor protocol is able to pay such a high interest rate was a Terra Luna Foundation was actually funneling additional cash into Anchor to be able to inflate the return on the investment. And then so what that was doing is in the ecosystem, people were just pouring more money into Anchor, which also stabilized Luna and then also the Terra token.
Those rewards were sweet.
Is that the part that people criticize as being a Ponzi?
That's partially part of the Ponzi, right?
I was gonna say it sounds like a Ponzi scheme. It sounds like and it'll move his money.
Right. And I'll take some more of the token over here, and so that was like where the ecosystem was, and like because folks were making so much money in this space, we were all very bullish about it. Because to be honest, like part of crypto world is we're kind of like degenerate gamblers, right? So when we see these gains coming in,
Degen life.
Of our increase, our return on investment of these tokens, we're like, shit, we're all going to the moon kind of thing. So we ended up being bag holders. So anyway, this whole ecosystem is happening in front of us, but there's been warning signs. There's been a lot of analysts that said, hey, this is kind of an unsustainable thing. You got to be careful. This may not be sustainable. But a lot of us, when you tend to be bag holders, it's kind of like when you're in an abusive relationship or in a religion, you're like, nah, man, ours is the best kind of thing. So they had what they called the lunatics, right? The lunatics are like fans and fanatics of the Luna ecosystem. So what ended up happening was somebody found a vulnerability in this whole ecosystem, right? And there's a lot of conspiracies out there. Some people are saying it's BlackRock or Citadel Finance that caused this crash, and could it have been them? Maybe. But there's no real actual documented.
The only thing we know that there's been you can see the transaction of the short happening coming from, what was the one that they said? It came from Gemini?
From Gemini.
Yeah. But that's all they can see is no one knows who's behind those wallets, and because you can see that someone shorted it.
Right.
Some people also are suspecting Kwan of being shady too, right?
It's very possible. So there's an alternative timeline where a lot of the big institutions that originally invested into Terra, they're the first ones to get bailed out before the consumers got basically fucked, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of things, and we're going to see this all kind of roll out. Like Kwan, his assets are being seized by the South Korean government. He's being summoned to like an investigation. And people are also realizing now that he was also a co-founder of a previous stablecoin that failed. That was called Balance, or I forget, Basis Cash, right? And so people are starting to find this out now. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? So this is kind of mechanically what had happened, right? So you have the stablecoin, you have the governance token, And what ended up happening was, in order to keep this ecosystem going, Do Kwan purchased a shit ton of Bitcoin, about $1 billion of Bitcoin.
To shut up the haters.
That's exactly it. Because what would happen is, he knew that if the Bitcoin maxis started bitching about his product, he could easily dump Bitcoin and cause the price of Bitcoin to go down, right? And he did the same thing with Avalanche. He purchased a ton of Avalanche. And that's the same thing that we're seeing right now. Avalanche has been depressed very heavily because they had to liquidate assets to keep this peg going. So now he's got like all of these assets here. And so one of the main prevailing theories right now is somebody was like, okay, how are we going to do an indirect attack on the Bitcoin network and depress the price because we want to put in a big short? Well, if we could attack Terra Luna, we could indirectly end up attacking Bitcoin.
Right.
So what people are speculating and saying is somebody had a large amount of Bitcoin, about $1 billion of Bitcoin, redeemed it for the stable coin. And I know it might sound a little complicated, right? So I'm going to try to break it down as simply as possible. They redeemed it for $1 billion of the Terra stablecoin, and now basically lock up a big chunk of the market. And now this organization goes back and says, hey, we want to sell back the stablecoin into the market. At the same time, like, this perfect storm is happening. The crypto markets have already gone down a little bit because of inflation fears, because of tightening up of monetary policy, instability in Ukraine and China and all these different things. So the value of Bitcoin has gone down. So the assets that Terra Luna has in their foundation has also gone down.
Because they bought it higher. They bought it at like 40, 50,000, and at this time it was already like 30-something thousand.
Yeah. And then now imagine in the marketplace, somebody says, hey, I need to sell back $1 billion of your guys' stablecoin to prevent the market from collapsing. The Terra Luna Foundation's like, shit, we got to buy this back and put it back into the market. But the only way to do this, they had to liquidate their assets that are now have been reduced in value by 20, 30%. So now what's happening, it creates what we call like an algorithmic death spiral, because they now need to liquidate a tremendous amount of Bitcoin, which further pushes down the price of Bitcoin, which also overall impacts the entire crypto ecosystem, pushes the value of the Terra Luna token down, and all these things are happening all at the same time. Right, so this created this death spiral where now you've seen basically $40 billion of value disappearing from the ecosystem. And the way an algorithmic stablecoin works is if you have the governance token or the stablecoin, dollar for dollar, you're supposed to be able to exchange it one for one. But the problem is when the governance token goes down in value, in order to continue providing a one-to-one value, they have to make and issue more of that governance token. So what you saw within 24 hours, the supply or the quantity in the market of that governance token expanded dramatically. It went from like 2 billion to 17 billion overnight. So now you have this rapidly expanding supply of token, and then this stable coin here, it's losing its peg, it's losing the assets that it's backing by, and it's creating this death spiral. So that's why you saw Luna go in price from effectively like $80 or $100 down to less than a couple of cents overnight, because you have this, number one, this collapsing in the crypto markets, this whole death spiral happening where the price of Bitcoin's going down, depressing the rest of the market, and now the Terra Luna Foundation doesn't have enough capital to keep raising assets, so they need to keep selling. So it creates this death spiral, and now a lot of folks overnight, like there's influencers and there's people that I know that lost millions of dollars literally overnight.
I'm one of them.
Sorry. There's famously KSI, who's another like influencer.
Dude.
Yeah. I think he bought it. He bought it on the low.
He bought it pretty
He bought
late,
it on the
right?
low end though, but it was like still like $1 or something like that. He was
It's paper losses, but at one point, no, but he kept buying though. That's the thing.
Yeah, on the way down.
He kept buying on the way down, but paper losses was 2.8 million. Yeah.
So you see this massive collapse in value, and you know some people, they've refinanced their houses because this is a token that went from relatively low amounts to a high amount very heavily.
It was the best performing crypto in 2022. Yeah, and
it was the best performing, right? It was a top 10 token.
It was the highest gain. Yeah.
So there was serious money.
there with you, bud.
You know what's crazy? Like between me and my friends, I think it's a little shy above 3 million that was lost. Yeah, at least.
Between what?
Me and a couple of my friends. Right. It was at least 3 million lost. Yeah.
Right.
And that's, I mean, I got away pretty decent because I thought I de-risked by putting it into USD. A lot of people did. A lot of people thought because it's a stable coin, it's like just turning it into US, DC, US, even dollars, right? They would, no one really suspected a stable coin to dip like 50, 30% even.
Right.
Maybe a couple of cents. Like people were laughing.
Possible. I thought the whole point of stable coin is it stable?
Think, right?
Is that a misnomer though on the name? Because it's like putting a lot of faith in the title of something, and the way that it's
Faith
marketed.
coin. That's the new one. Faith coin.
Faith coin.
That's how, like, cause like I had a decent chunk for me. Like I don't have millions in it, but I had a decent chunk of money in it, and I was like, but I was mostly cause like I was like, oh, all my friends are doing it, fuck it.
Right.
Which is probably not the best like financial way.
Best way to invest, I think.
It's online roulette.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But I mean,
Or craps, online craps. Like, oh, you're gonna go in? Me too, baby.
God, this is the worst game of craps ever.
I wasn't playing with stuff that I couldn't afford to lose. So like everything
That's
that I
the
was playing
key.
with, I was like, I can make this back. Like if it's not gonna kill me. So
I mean,
but
I can't afford to lose $1 million, bro. I don't like that. But I did it anyway.
did you feel good while you're doing it though? I feel like that's what gets you off though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like that's what you're chasing though. You're chasing that next up. So
What's your whole experience like? How did you feel the day of? How do you feel now? Like you must have been through a roller coaster.
I think everyone felt the same way where when it got depegged, they're like, oh, this has happened before. Like it's been to like 98 cents before, but it was corrected in a matter of a day. So then I was telling everybody in it, like, if this doesn't correct in one day, we're fucked. And then so 98 went to 97, 96. And then that whole day was like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And then, we all had most of our Luna staked.
yeah.
I had some de-risked into UST. I had actually a good amount de-risked, but then even if a stable coin dips like 30%, dude, if you have 100K in there, that's 30K just in thin air, right? So like, I got out. I was the only one out of I think all my friends who got out because they staked everything, and there's a 21-day lock.
That's where I was. And I staked my like.
It's a 21-day lock. So even if on the day you let go, you have to wait a whole month.
Yeah.
But we had days to act, So then not only that, like I don't know, I got a bit of survivor's guilt because while it was going down, Steve was helping me on the phone, like, oh, you just got to buy this, move it here, whatever, send it to KuCoin, whatever. And I was like, damn. And during the whole time we were talking, he de-risked earlier. But then everything else was trapped in for him. So he's out there just watching his shit. He can't do anything about it while he's helping me on the phone move my money out. And I'm the only guy out of our, like, all of our, like, whale buds.
Your family drowned, but you're helping someone else.
Literally.
Crazy, man.
But your family's so mean though.
He sold earlier and took his, like, profits and stuff. But in this moment, no one saw it coming. Yeah. And then everyone thought, like, maybe we'll lose some. And then, like, tomorrow will come and then it'll pop. No one expected it to go down to like negative.
Yeah.
It didn't go to zero. It went to fucking like, what the hell was that?
It went to 5 zeros.
And I looked at my chart and I'm all like, dude, like, for just Terra alone, I mean, my peak was like 1.6 million, but at this within a week span, right? It was about 1.2 million to absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
I was just like, that's like you're watching the chart because you can kind of see the chart do this, and then all of a sudden it just like 90-degree drops. I was like,
It was crazy.
And then what's crazy is when it hits the bottom and it can't go any lower, and it just kind of flatlines at the bottom in the fractions of a cent. I was like, that's kind of
looks like it wants to say fuck it. It wants to bounce harder.
And then you refresh to see, like, is my phone glitching?
Yeah.
It turned into like the heart monitor in movies.
or you're just trying to, come on, you can make it back. Buy the dip, come on.
But every time these kind of events happen, right? People kill themselves. People they go through some shit, right? And then that's why I have the Survivor's Guild part, because I can play games like this, and I know that I have the earning potential to like go out there and make it again. It's gonna take time. Like 1.6 mil, that's still a lot of fucking money to me. It's still life-changing money, but this is my second time that I lost such a big amount. Jeez. Last one was in 2018 when I had a huge dip. But even that, I had faith in recovery because the whole market dipped. I saw, it going from 800,000, and during the bear, I saw my whole crypto stack go to $10,000, right? But that's just paper wins and losses. So the whole coin didn't destroy. So I was like, I'll wait this out. I'll keep buying during the bear, and then during, the bull, it'll come back again. For Terra Luna, I have zero faith. That was it just disappeared. The team is fucking dope though. And then if you use the actual Terra like software, like just the whole wallet and everything in the exchange, it was so fast. It was cheap transactions. I was like, this is so good. I wish it worked. Just because of the interface and everything, the way that, and then we were like able to like buy stuff. People were starting to make crypto available for like travel, like a hotel, like you could get a rent-a-car, whatever. And I was like, dude, this is the future. It's being used. It's not just a speculative thing now. Like there's businesses that are using this for all these things. And I was like, utility was happening. And I think that was the awesome part. But I think for me, I could sit here and kind of like joke about it and laugh with everybody. But I know people who are like, their earning potential is like, dude, they work in warehouses or like, they just everyday people. So they put a lot into this, and then they made crazy life-changing gains. It's all relative, right? Because like for some people, like $40,000 is a life or death kind of money, and for other people, it's just like, oh, they could throw away 500 here, 500,000 there, and they'll make it back, and that's just a game to them. And that's the part of the whole thing that makes me a little sick, because real people are tied to all this. And then so like when things go bad, I mean, we can all say you shouldn't have fucking, did that with your money. But like the point is, people do it every time with everything, stocks, whatever. This always happens. And when a catastrophic event like that happens, I'm just worried about people's like mental health. They're like, are they gonna off themselves? Like I don't know, that's the part of it that's just like, oh, I wish that wasn't a part of the game. Yeah.
And it's tough because like a lot of us, our identity and our value is built upon our perception of money.
Yeah.
Right? Bart was talking about that earlier. He was reading a book that's talking about like the psychology of money.
Yeah.
And money's right now in our consumer societies is very important to us because that's how we determine how we're worth it to everybody else. Through the clothing we wear, the cars we drive, the house we have. So when people lose a huge amount of money, they feel like they no longer have value, and that's why people kill themselves, right? So it's a really challenging moment, and this I think is a watershed moment for crypto in general. And you're starting to see a lot of like governmental bodies come out and say, whoa, we need to kind of like look at this a little bit more and regulate and everything. And I know like the crypto space, we're like very anti-regulation, and it's going to hurt the space for a little bit. But I think long term, this watershed moment, although it's super painful for a lot of us, it's going to be a positive thing. I mean, trying to turn lemons into lemonade, right? But it's going to be a positive thing because it's going to create a lot of regulation that's going to create real stability, right? But at the same time, too, this regulation is going to take away the 100x returns that we've seen in the past. But it's going to create stability so that way average everyday people, they won't get hurt like this anymore.
So you want to see the bullshit 1% returns again? Dude, not
Back, dude.
my fucking like Wells Fargo 0.1%. Ooh, help you save for retirement.
Right. It's like how do we go back to that?
Yeah, I was at my barber, and he's like, "Oh man, you see what happened to Luna, man?" And then he was like, man.
He's a white guy too.
Vietnamese accent.
Yeah, he was like, man, I saw it dip like crazy, and then I saw $2. I was like, oh shit, that's a steal. So I bought $3,000. And then he was like, and then it's less than 1 cent, man. Oh shit.
Yo, I did that on the last day when it was dipping hard. I was like, oh, this is a good ass deal, and I dropped 50K in that shit.
Oh my god.
So I know, bro. I know, dude. I could have got away with more.
I mean, anybody who bought in when it was 5 zeros and a 1, did you see that? People who bought in there made millions because it went back up to 3 zeros and a 2.
No, but they actually, it's crazy,
People
dude.
cashed in that weird ass
Yeah.
like.
Wow.